You are listening to the Be Your Own Coach podcast. I am DeAnn LifeCoach Day. This is episode 5, and today I am going to talk to you about the power of letting it out. But before I get into that, I want to welcome everyone who is taking this 100 days consistent challenge with me. Welcome, welcome. Today is day 1 of the 100 days consistent challenge. This is week 1. And for those of you who don't know, 100 days consistent is a challenge that I created that will help you become more consistent, and it will help you develop the mindset that you need to get more of the results that you want to get in your life. And so we will be doing this by focusing on 2 different things. The first thing is we will consistently be using the skill of self-coaching. So I'm going to teach you to be your own coach. Okay, that's the number one thing. You're going to be your own coach. I am going to teach you different skills each week. I'm going to do it through the podcast. And so each week a podcast will come out. It'll be telling you a technique that you can use that will help you um, improve your self-coaching skills, teaching you exactly how to self-coach. I'd want you to use that technique for that entire week. Get some self-coaching in that entire week. Try to do it consistently. And the number 2 thing that we're going to be working on is just doing one thing consistently throughout the entire 100 days. And the one thing should be something that if you did this one thing consistently, that it's going to help you accomplish a goal that you really want to achieve, right? So you're going to do this one thing consistently. And then when it's time for you to actually do it, what'll happen is you're not going to want to, right? So that's when that self-coaching comes in. So then you're going to use some of those self-coaching skills that I'm going to be teaching you and that we're going to be practicing. And you're going to coach yourself. You're going to figure out what's going on. Why are you avoiding completing this task, right? You're actually going to take a moment and see how your mind is working, like see what thoughts you're having that's causing you to become so resistant to doing this one thing. And you're going to notice what you're thinking, right? And eventually you're going to figure it out. You're going to be motivated. You're going to make it happen. But this is like a new approach to accomplishing goals. Instead of just kind of forcing ourselves to take the action that we know we need to be taking, we are going to take a moment to coach ourselves and figure out what's going on while we're so resistant to this action. So we are going to be focusing on our mindset, right? In regards to trying to accomplish a goal. We're going to be working on our mindset, get that under control so that we're able to accomplish the goal. So like I said before, I'll release a podcast each week that will focus on teaching you how to be your own coach. And your challenge is to use those techniques to coach yourself through this 100 days so that you are able to increase your consistency and get closer to accomplishing your goals, right? So that's the goal. So as I mentioned before, I will be talking to you today about the power of letting it out. So the self-coaching technique that I want you to focus on for this week is just letting it out, allowing yourself to be heard, figuring out what's going on in your brain so that you are being heard, right? So when I say letting it out or let it out, to me, I think of getting things off of my chest, like venting about something or sharing my concerns about a certain situation or expressing my emotions, or just saying what I need to say, or maybe even having a cry. If you think about all the examples I just gave, I have given um, examples, and all of them kind of revolve around communicating your thoughts, right? Because I used words like venting, sharing, expressing, saying, right? Even crying. And when you're crying, even though you're not actually speaking in most cases, you are communicating, because crying is a form of nonverbal communication. It signals that um, something could be wrong. It signals, in babies, it could signal hunger, or maybe that they are in pain, or for all of us, it could signal like we're in physical distress or emotional distress, or sometimes it could be signaling feelings of being stressed out, being angry, being overwhelmed, and sometimes it's even happiness that we're expressing when we are crying. So even though you may not actually be speaking, you are still communicating. And when we are feeling those emotions that make us happy, angry, stressed, those emotions, we must know that we are having thoughts that are causing us to feel those emotions, right? We're not just having the emotions. It's something that we're thinking that's causing us to feel that way. And so for me, letting it out means like getting it out of your head, right? Those thoughts, releasing it from your mind, letting it out of your body, and taking those thoughts out and like putting them on paper, putting them where we can see them so that we can become more aware of them and kind of learn from them. So coaching yourself allows you to do that, because self-coaching, when I'm speaking of it, it looks like writing it down, like you're letting it out and writing it down, whether you're typing it in a Google Doc or whether it is handwritten. You're letting it out, you're releasing it, and you're writing it down so that you can see what you are thinking that is causing you to feel the way you do. And so some of you might have heard me talk about the model before. So, for some of you, will be review, and for others of you, this will be an introduction. So the model is a self-coaching tool that I use, um, and that I was trained on while being certified through the Life Coach School. It is a tool that was created by Brooke Castillo, and it is here on the screen if you are watching the video currently. So the model suggests that we all have circumstances that happen in our lives, okay? All of us have circumstances. All of the circumstances that happen to us or in our lives, no matter what they're neutral. They're all neutral. Everything is neutral until you have a thought about it. And depending on how you are choosing to think about that certain circumstance, that is going to determine how you're feeling. And your feelings will determine or have an impact on how you choose to act, the things you choose to do, right? And then if you do those actions over and over, you're going to get yourself a result, whether it's the result that you've been wanting, that you've been wishing for, or if it's the direct opposite, because we've been self-sabotaging, okay? But either way, we are going to get a result. And the result that we get is a direct reflection of how we have been thinking. So our thoughts impact our feelings impact the actions we choose to take, and the actions we take determine the result that we get. But the result that we get is determined by the way that we are thinking. And the way that we choose to think is a choice. We get to choose how we're going to think about something, right? I know a lot of times thoughts just come up to us or come come to us. Thoughts just come to us and we just accept them as they are. We just receive them, but we actually have some choice. We just don't take the time or the effort to like actually decide what we want to think, what will be in our best interest to think about different situations so that we are responding and acting in a certain way that's very intentional and very serving to us and supports us in our efforts and our goals. Sometimes we just receive the thought, like a thought pops up, we believe it, we act off of it, and we run with it. But what I'm inviting you to do is try something new. Try the opposite. A thought pops up. I don't know. Let's check it out. Let's see, do we really believe this? Let's see how it's impacting us, how we're behaving because of this. Do we want to choose to think this? Is this serving us? Do you see what I'm saying? We don't just have to accept all the thoughts that our brain offers us. We have options. And so all I'm saying is, let's take some of those options. So the benefits of coaching yourself is if your thoughts directly impact your results, the benefit is that you can be more empowered in creating the results that you actually want for your life, right? Because now you're thinking more intentionally. So one of the benefits is that you can create more results that you want for your life. Another benefit is that it's just it's just good self-care to express our emotions and not keep them bottled in. So when you're self-coaching, you're writing out your thoughts, you're letting them out, you're releasing them. It can kind of feel like venting. It has felt like venting for me in the past when I'm self-coaching and maybe I'm really upset about something and then I'm writing it. I'm writing like the thoughts that I'm having that's causing me to feel so upset. And it feels, and then I can feel a little bit better now, or a little slight bit of relief, right? It's like you got to vent, right? You got to let it all out. So, and when you do that, that reduces your feeling of stress. It reduces your feeling of anger. It can help reduce feelings of anxiety or overwhelm and many other negative emotions that we would feel. So it helps us become more conscious when we self-coach. We're coming more conscious of what it is that we're thinking, and we eventually become more intentional in how we choose to think, right? Once we see how our thinking is impacting us, right? And how it's affecting our lives. And once we're realizing that what we think is a choice and we can decide to be more intentional, then you start being more intentional with your thoughts and choosing, taking time to choose what you want to think. And then you'll start to get more results that way, right? So that's another benefit. You're going to start to see more results in your life in just different areas and even working toward this goal that you're working on. But it all starts with being aware. You got to take that time to figure out what it is you're thinking. Awareness is the first step to change. You can't really change or try to fix a problem if if you can't see the problem, if you're not aware of the problem, if you don't know what it is. If you don't know that a problem exists, how do you know that you need to take out time to come up with a solution? You don't. And so this skill of self-coaching is allowing you to become more aware of those problem thoughts that you might be having that could be holding you back, that could be causing you to feel doubt, that could be stopping you in your tracks because you're feeling so overwhelmed, right? Causing you to feel anxious, and now you can't get anything done, right? We can take a look and figure out what those problem thoughts are. Take a look inside of our brain, since we're going to be letting everything out, and take a look and see what is causing me to doubt myself so much. What is causing me to like not make progress? Why have I had this same goal for such a long time and I still haven't accomplished it? I know that I'm capable. It's because we're having these problem thoughts that are holding us back. And we got to figure out what they are and then figure out how we want to move forward once we find them. So this self-coaching technique that I am encouraging us to use will help us find those problem thoughts, okay? We are going to, in our first week, I want us to focus on doing thought downloads, okay? A thought download is when you take some time, you get a sheet of paper, whether it's a Google Doc, whether it's a journal, whatever you want to use, get a sheet of paper and just write down, take maybe 5 to 10 minutes and just write down everything that you're thinking. Just write down all of your thoughts about whatever you're thinking, okay? And don't try to edit your thoughts. Don't try to make them sound nicer than what they are or more professional than what they are. Like, write them how you're having them, right? And just allow them to be what they are so that you can see what you're actually thinking and how those thoughts are actually impacting you. If you try to sugarcoat it or make it sound better, you're not you're making it harder for yourself to find the thought. You need to figure out like what it is. Just write them as they are. Now, if you don't want to use names, that's cool. Like, because you might be writing about some people sometime, and I do agree with that. I wouldn't be writing everybody's name in my journal, but you can write what you're thinking, right? If you haven't thought about this specific person, you can write what you're thinking without having to write that person's name. Okay. So you figure that part out. But when it comes to doing these thought downloads, you need to write what you're thinking and also do not judge yourself for how you are thinking. This is not the time to judge. Imagine if you went to a coaching session and you were talking to your coach and you were just like sharing like what was going on with you and the situation that you found yourself in or the whatever the thing is that you need coaching on, and your coach is just sitting there judging you, your everything you say, just being really hard on you and making you feel bad about the decisions that you've made or the way that you think about certain things, right? Imagine going to a coach like that. That that would not encourage you to want to continue the coaching sessions. And that would also not help you. It's defeating the purpose because now you've beaten yourself up because of the way you're thinking. The goal of doing a thought download is not for you to see what everything that's going on in your mind and beat yourself up for thinking that way. Doing that is not useful, right? So do not judge your thoughts. Let them be what they are. It's okay. We're looking for the problem thoughts. So if you see some problem thoughts, that's perfect. You're doing it right, right? That's what we're looking for. So you're gonna write all of your thoughts down, and just give yourself plenty of time to write what it is that you're actually thinking so that you can find some of those problem thoughts, right? So, an example of that could be you could just be writing about whatever. You could write about anything. There's two ways to do a thought download. It can be specific to a certain situation or a certain like just like something specific. A thought download could be about something specific, or it could just be general, just general thoughts of what you're thinking. So general thoughts could be like, oh God, I have so much to do. I don't have enough time. I don't know what to make for dinner. I need a vacation. He forgot my birthday. Like just random thoughts about whatever's going on in your head, okay, in that moment. Or it can be specific, right? Because maybe you need to coach yourself on something specific. So, an example of something more specific could be like maybe you want to coach yourself on what's going on at work. So, you can write the word work at the top of the page, and then underneath the word work, write all of your thoughts that you're having about work. So, some of your thoughts could be, I hate my job. My boss treats me unfairly. My boss talks down to me. I don't enjoy the work that I do. My boss doesn't respect me, right? So if those are the thoughts that you were thinking about work, it's good to know that you're thinking that way because, like I said before, your thoughts determine how you feel. So you're having those thoughts about work. So now those thoughts are helping you generate different emotions about how you're feeling about work. And then because you're feeling that way, so you might feel like unmotivated, you might feel dread when it comes to work, you might feel like resistant to the job, or you might feel discouraged on the job, right? So if you're feeling those thoughts, what are some actions that you might take because that's how you're feeling, right? And the actions that you take are gonna give you some type of result from what you choose to do, right? So how are those thoughts impacting you, right? Identify how those thoughts are impacting you and decide how you want to move forward. So that's what we're going to do. That's like an example of like coaching yourself. But this week, we're just focusing on just doing a thought download, right? Get in the habit of doing thought downloads this week. And if you could, you need to do them. It would be nice if you could do them every day, right? Just get in the habit of doing a download a day. That's what we're going to call it, a download a day, right? Thinking of your thoughts, right? But to help you become more consistent, I encourage you to schedule self-coaching time. Schedule time for you to be your own coach, where you're going to sit down, you're going to be present, right? Because a coach, imagine coming to a coach and they weren't present, they're on their phone, they're just like not paying attention to you, they're not present in the session, right? You wouldn't want a coach who would do that. That would be unprofessional, unacceptable for a life coach, by the way. So you don't want to do that to yourself either. So be present, and that's why setting aside time when you actually have the time to do it, right? You can set aside time where you know you can be fully present, because sometimes we can't, we might try to do it, but we can't be fully present, and we know that. So schedule some time in when you can actually be fully present. And also another, I want to give you some tips on how to know when is a good time to self-coach or if you need to self-coach. So for instance, with this 100 days consistent challenge, you're supposed to pick one thing that you're going to do consistently throughout the 100 days. And by the way, when I say do it consistently, I don't mean that you have to do perfectly, but I'm gonna get into that. But you're gonna do this one thing consistently for 100 days, right? And you're not gonna always want to do it when it's time to do it. That's just how it works. That's why we struggle with accomplishing our goals, because we don't feel like doing what we know we need to do, and then we don't do it some of the time, and then that's why we don't accomplish our stuff. So um, you're going to coach yourself sometimes when you're noticing that you're supposed to be doing that thing, that one thing, but you're being resistant to it and you don't want to do it, and you don't feel like it, and then you don't do it. Coach yourself, see what's coming up, see what thoughts you're having that's causing you to not follow through the way you want to. Because if you're doing this challenge, you clearly want to follow through. You clearly want to do this one thing consistently. And you know that there's some thoughts that you're having that's holding you back, right? And you're trying to figure out how you control it. So if you're doing this, right, you already know that you need to figure out what the problem thoughts are, so that you can make time, so that you can take time and, you know, trade them for more intentional thoughts so you can get better progress, right? That's why we're all here, okay? But you got to take time to self-coach. It works, but you just have to actually schedule time to do it, and then do it consistently. And then you can do it when you're noticing that you haven't been following through. That's a good time to do it. You can also do it when like there's nothing going on and you don't notice anything. But I'm telling you, like, when you know you need to do it is when you notice that you're not following through on something that you know that you want to follow through with. So be your own coach when you're feeling overly like negative, or even overly positive. Overly negative, so you can see what's going on, so you can look at the thoughts that got you feeling this way. But also sometimes it's good to do it when you're feeling positive, because it's also good to know those thoughts that get you feeling confident and that get you feeling optimistic or that get you feeling determined, right? So that you're going, or that have you feeling proud, so that you can feel those emotions too, so that you can be intentional with how you use those thoughts. It goes both ways. You can use intentional thoughts, good ones and negative ones. Like, it's good to identify both of them. So if you notice that you're feeling overly excited or super duper confident or whatever it is, right, that emotion that feels good to you, do a thought download and check out what you're thinking when you're feeling that's causing you to feel that way, right? But also with the negative too. So it goes both ways. Now, avoid judging. Like I said, you can't be judging yourself. You can't be coaching yourself and then judging yourself. A coach does not judge their client. A coach is there to support their client, to kind of gain increase awareness about the client with the client, and help them identify maybe problem thoughts that are kind of getting in the way, get those out the way, keep it moving, and then make progress. Like, it's not, you don't have time to be judging because there's so many other things that you need to be doing as a coach. And so when the thought download is happening, you just need to focus on noticing and like looking for the error thoughts. Just getting those thoughts out of your head as they are is what we're focusing on this week. Okay. So 100 days consistent. It's time. Today is day number 1. So this is the day 1, week 1 podcast. So I want you to take the challenge with me. I am taking this challenge. I'm taking it because I already know how impactful this type of work is. I've done it myself already. The first time I took the 100 days consistent challenge, I just created it for myself because I wanted to get some stuff done. And I only focused on doing one thing consistently, right? And my goal was to end up losing 30 pounds over the course of 100 days. I did not lose 30 pounds, but I did lose 23, I believe it was. Yep, it was 23 pounds. So, I mean, that's still great. You know what I mean? Like, I did the one thing, I did become more consistent. I got a lot of benefits from it, and I lost my 23. Well, I lost 23 of the 30 pounds that I wanted to lose. So I was 7 pounds short, but I still had a lot of progress. I still was 23 pounds lighter, right? So I know I'm doing this because I know that I'm gonna get results. But the last time I did it, I didn't have the piece where you were supposed to be self-coaching consistently. I only had the piece. I was self-coaching because I knew about it, but the self-coaching piece wasn't my focus, right? It was only the one thing. This time around, because the self-coaching piece is the part that like really matters, right? It really like your mindset is everything. So you got to take time to focus on how you're thinking. Self coaching is self-care. It's a form of self-care. And everyone's so into self-care now. I'm telling you, this is the form of self-care that we need to be focusing on because it trickles down and has a positive impact on everything. So if we focus on this one thing, then we got it made. So this time around, self-coaching is like one of the main pieces of the 100-day consistent challenge, along with doing your one thing consistently. Those two put together are very powerful. So I'm doing this challenge for myself, and I've tweaked it because I want to reap the benefits. This go round, I'm inviting you all to do it with me because I want you to reap those same benefits as well. So for this week, try to focus on do a daily thought download, right? At minimum, try to do maybe 3 to 5 for the week. I encourage you to try to do them daily if you can. Um, you should decide how often you'll do the one thing that you want to do. So whatever your one thing is, figure out what that one thing is. Be very specific about what the one thing is. So my one thing is following my schedule. Like, I just have been feeling like, oh, I don't have time. I got all this stuff I want to do, but I know that I have the time. It's just, am I using my time strategically enough? Right? Am I being intentional enough? And I'm not willing to like say, oh, well, I'm not gonna do this one thing. I'm just gonna focus on this over here. No, I want to do it all. So I feel like the one thing that I can do to help me make all of that happen is to schedule my calendar, like to be very intentional in how I schedule things on my calendar and to actually follow through. So calendaring, scheduling, that's my one thing. And following through with the actions, that's my one thing. The last time I did this challenge, when I first did it, I believe my one thing was to work out at least 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week. Like 15 minutes was the bare minimum, right? Because you pick like a minimum that you know you can do it, you know you're capable of doing it. It's not overwhelming, right? Because we're focusing on being consistent and taking small steps. So I put like 15 minutes a day of working out minimum. And that was my one thing. This time it's going to be like each week, I'm going to plan my calendar for the week, be very intentional with my time, and then focus on like following it because I want to like master how I'm able to plan. Because sometimes I plan, it's like, I don't get everything done. So it's like, did I schedule too much or did I not? Like what is the issue? Like I want to master that, identify what the issues there are and become like a master planner when it comes to my planning my time and planning my calendar. So that's my goal, is to figure that out. So I know it's not going to be perfect. So like I was saying earlier, when I say be consistent, I'm not saying be perfect. You don't have to do it every day and you have to do it perfectly. And if you miss a day, you just like ruin the 100 days consistent challenge and you might as well give up and maybe start next time. Like, no, it's not that. I'm not saying be perfect. I'm saying be consistent throughout the 100 days. Don't stop. Always show up. So that might look like you doing something every day one week and then 2 times a week, a different week, and then 5 times a week the next time, and then 4 times a week the next time, and then 6 times a week, or 1 time a week, or oops, you missed a week. You see what I'm saying? But you didn't give up. And then you did 5 times a week and 3 times a week, but you didn't give up. You were consistent throughout the 100 days. So I'm not saying do it perfectly. I'm saying do it consistently, this one thing. And then when you don't want to, that's when we can use self-coaching to help us overcome our resistance to doing the one thing, right? We might not do it that day, but it might help keep us consistent and help keep us from stopping. So, yeah, it's definitely beneficial. And that's why I'm doing this challenge. And I hope that you guys are going to join me so that we can all be benefiting, all be celebrating at the end of the 100 days. Okay. So I want to wish all of you good luck on this challenge, right? Good luck. Use them self-coaching techniques, right? Listen to the podcast each week. I encourage you to maybe subscribe to my podcast so that when I am putting out the new content for the week, that you can easily access the information and see what the new self-coaching technique for the week is and see what we're focusing on. And your challenge is to be consistent in doing these thought downloads and doing your one thing. And remember, consistency, not perfection. Consistently, not perfectly. And good luck.